All right, welcome everyone. As you can see this week, I have a camera finally. So thanks to Sean for that. We're going to be looking over pairs for the first week of May, and we have a couple crypto pairs, and of course we have gold and all the pound pairs that we normally trade. So we're going to be diving into all that. But first, I wanted to give a shout out to the broker that me and my whole team uses. That's Osprey FX. They're a very good broker. Super easy withdrawals and deposits. They have funding. Their customer service is honestly top of the line. I mean, if you email them with an issue, and they will literally email you back within like 1 hour. Doesn't matter if it's the middle of the night. So I just wanted to show you guys what we use here because they're a very good broker. Um, MT4, MT5, funded accounts. You can become an affiliate. There's trader competitions. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Um, Low spread, good good fees, good commission, low commission. So yeah, very good. So I would check them out if you guys are wondering, what broker you should be using, or if you're not satisfied with yours, I would definitely give Osprey a look at. But with that said, let's dive into the markets. First, let's look into this. Let's look into Bitcoin. Let me get this situated on the weekly time frame. So I already have it pretty marked up, so I'm just going to explain what's going on here. If we zoom in the past few weeks, you know what, I'm just going to delete that and delete that for now. So I have this level marked right here, the close of this week and the open of this current week. And what I'm really wanting to see is price pull back and touch this level before we continue down into lower, 36, 35, possibly even lower. If it has that sort of pressure, then we could be draining to 33,000. But I don't think that'll happen yet. I think first we will just hit around the 35, 36,000, and then we might see a larger pullback from there. But diving into the daily time frame, you can see this level I drew right here, and that is the open and close of the weeks. And what I've done is I highlighted the area around it too. So starting at, you see this level right here, and if you look left, you see how it kind of lines up with the open and closes of all these candles. So that's why I have the top right there, and then the bottom of it is actually going to be the bottom of this daily candle right here. So I'm just going to extend that over, and what this area shows me is area where lots of order. First of all, it's a weekly level, so we know how the market is attracted to these weekly levels, and typically it'll hit those and respect them or break them and then flip it, for support, vice versa if it's going down. But it's also very important because this is a lot of liquidity. If we look at this specific daily candle right here, this is the top of the candle, and that's where all the orders came in to have this huge push down these 2 days. And that yeah, that just tells me that there's lots of liquidity there, and if price is going to drop into these lows around 36,000, in my opinion, it would just make sense if price just pulled up here uh, for a short amount of time. Probably spend 4 to 12 hours there, and then just completely drain into 36,000. Right, so if that's what we're looking at, is really this move right here. So from A to B, between that, we could buy up there. So we already have a sell. We had a sell at 42,800, at 4,700, and then 4,100. And we're just looking to add to that sell right here, guys. So, but like I said, we could be buying up into this area because that's a solid like 150 pips, right? Yeah, 160, 170 pips. And so let's get into that possible buy opportunity. So we have this low right here, and we can see that was stopped out. And then what happened was price pushed up here, and it looked like it could drain. As you can see how here, let me zoom in. you can see how it accumulated right here and it stopped up, right? It has this pattern. It does that all the time. See how it throws the wicks, it kind of goes sideways and then it drains. So that's what it did here. It threw the wick, it kind of went sideways and then it exploded. Now the only difference this time is it drained all the way back down. But if we take a closer look at it, we'll go into the 5-minute time frame. Where did it drain down to? It drained down to where it exploded from. So that interests me a lot. That's why I had this area highlighted earlier. So the bottom of this wick right here, I'm expecting price to pull under that, which it already has, and I already have a buy position at 37.7. This exact line is where my limit was at. But this entire area right here down to the right here, this is an area of lots of orders, very similar to what we're looking at up here on the higher time frame. So as you can see, price exploded and it actually came, I'm just temporarily drawing this, it came right into these highs and then drained because again, what we were saying, how it accumulates and lots of sell orders, are placed at these areas, or vice versa if it was buying in the same, same sort of structure. So in my opinion, I think we just came up here and filled a bunch of leftover sell orders, but the real move is going to be the push up into 39.4 thousand. Okay, so this exact level is where I'm looking to place my sell limit. I will place that sell limit once it pushes up in there, because there is obviously the chance that it does not do that, which would be fine because we already have some sell positions on, and this is a smaller position right here. Every time that I personally hedge a position, it's smaller risk than what the main position is. But with that being said, I do believe that it's possible we come down here one more time after the new weekly candle starts, which is also the new daily candle, and that is in basically 3.5 hours. So it depends, what happens here. We are seeing good pressure, lots of wicks already forming, and it's slowly moving up. But there is a very, very good chance that it's going to come down here again, possibly even into the lower end of this range, and then continue up. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for what's going on right now in Bitcoin. So the right now move is 37.7 into 39.4, and once we get into 39.4, we can go back to the higher time frame move, and that is the sell from 39.4 into my target is going to be 35.6. And the reason that's my target is it's very, I mean, same thing what we were looking at down here, how price pulled back into the liquidity of where it pushed from. That is exactly what's going on here. So as you can see, I pretty much, this is actually the candle, the body that I wanted to highlight. So 35.6 is almost right smack dab in the middle of that candle. And in my opinion, if we're going to have a major pullback, and I'm talking a pullback to this key level right here at 43,000, if that's going to happen, then we're probably going to dip into the liquidity of this area right here. So it would make sense that if price is going to push up here, first it'll come down here, and then obviously if it's just going to drain, then it'll just blow right through that, and it's definitely going to have a reaction at 33,000. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. We'll just stick with what's happening right now, which is this little buy up into this area and then sell from here. And alongside that is Ethereum, and we have a very, very, very similar chart going on. So this is going to be that swing target from up here. So ETH is going to 2,500. And if we zoom in the 5-minute time frame, this is the exact level that my buy limit for Ethereum is at. And it's possible it doesn't even get hit unless Bitcoin does push down deeper into that zone. then obviously that would bring ETH down a little bit deeper. The buy limit is at, actually I'm going to make this exact, it's at 2750. Stop loss is under here because obviously if it's going to break this low, then that buy is not going to happen, right? Because I'm sort of predicting, where's that? Something like this, right? Well, let me zoom in a little bit. So we came down here and we made this low. We actually double tapped it and then we started pushing up, right? And then it started falling all the way back down here, but as you can see, it just pulled into where the liquidity was, and then it actually pulled up way deeper, and then you'd place a sell there. So that's the same concept of what I kind of want to see happen here, which is why, yeah, that's why I had the buy limit there. I might move it down to like 27.45, but I mean that's only 5 pips, so I already have it at 27.50. We'll just leave it there. The stop loss is 50 pips or 40 pips, and the target is 160. So what's that? 4 to 1 risk to reward. Same with Bitcoin. Stop loss is like 40, not even 40 pips, and the target is 170. Good risk to reward. That's why we're taking the trade. Is the risk to reward is there. So let me zoom back out. Oh, that's 5 hour. Oh, that's interesting. What does 5 hour look like? Very weird looking. I've also been looking at the 8 hour because there's 3 of those in every day. So I've just been kind of checking that out. Go back to the daily and we'll get ready for the next pairs. So that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. Pretty straightforward. There's not much else to it. So now let's go over gold. All right. Gold, last week, what I was looking for is I had this level marked right here, and I wanted to see the reaction. I wanted to see if it stopped that level out and exploded from there, because that would prove that the bull pressure is coming and we're going to be buying this like we've been waiting for so long. Pretty much since right here, actually, we've been waiting for that. And now we stopped out this low right here, which makes sense, makes total sense. And from this point on, I think we're going to experience a pretty huge bull run, kind of like right here. See how this level got stopped out, and then it kind of pushed up a little bit, and then as you can see these daily wicks right here, it pulled pretty deep back into this area, and then it absolutely ripped to the upside, and I think we're going to get something very similar, right? So let's dive in there a little bit. You know what, I'm just going all the way to the 1 hour. And I'm going to take off the VWAP for now. So I've just marked the absolute low just for visual. And as you can see here, price completely exploded from 1870 essentially. And it hit this area of sell orders and dropped from there, which is thankful, because I'm thankful for that, because that gives us opportunity to enter. So the reason I have this marked right here is because it's very choppy and it illustrates where a lot of accumulation and orders were placed, right in this area, pretty much between 1880 and 1890. So I've highlighted this area because this is the range that I want to enter with, and I just place the VWAP on this candle here because that's when it exploded, and we can see this VWAP lines up very well with the price, so, or with this range. So what I'm looking for is an entry below the VWAP. So in the lower end of this area, stop loss, I would like to have it under this level because I don't think we'll come all the way back down there. So the closer we can get to there, the better. So the stop loss will be a little bit bigger on this trade. It's probably going to be like 60 or 70 pips. I would like to enter specifically at 1884. That would be brilliant, or lower, obviously. But if we can get down to at least 1884, that would leave a 60 pip stop loss, which would be good enough. because the risk to reward on here is going to be off the charts. I mean, literally, I have to zoom out like crazy. I mean, the first take profit, or no, sorry, the full swing take profit is 2,100 pips with a 60 pip stop loss. So um, this zone right here is because this is the first area where I will look to take partials and have the next entry set up. After it hits this area, I believe we will accumulate, and then we'll be able to take another entry for the next target, which is 1980. And then after 1980, it's pretty much just another entry, a third entry around this area, and then hold everything till 2100. So very long, very very long swing trade here on gold. And that's it. It's pretty simple. There's nothing else to it. Just looking to buy at the lower end of this area. So let's move on to the pound yen. Pound yen has been very tricky because it was, let me zoom in here. It was completely exploding for quite some time, since March really. It didn't pull back, and it moved up a solid 1,700 pips over the course of 43 days, and then it dropped 700 pips over the course of 4 days, right? So crazy fast movement. And I believe we are going to see that bullish pressure continue. But I believe before that, we are actually going to be able to take a sell, because if we zoom in here, what I'm expecting is price to pull back into the lower end of this daily candle right here and collect some orders before we take off into these highs. So let's dive in. We're going all the way to the 1 hour. As you can see here, this is the last area that price stalled at before it exploded, which is another reason why I'm placing this, I'm highlighting this area here, because this is like the the last leg where the last orders came in and then it exploded. So that tells me there's the most right there, or a lot of. And we have this high right here. What I'm expecting is price to pull back into this area after the daily starts, somewhere between here and here, and sell down into this area, which is 225 pips. So that's the reason why I said we're probably going to catch a sell. And if you look at this structure here, it hit this point up here, it drained, it pulled all the way back into where the price dumped from, which I was not really paying attention to pound yen when it did this, but this could have been an easy entry right here at 163.9. I just wasn't looking. But the same thing goes for the current price. So pretty much same thing that happened here, I'm looking to happen with this high. So I want to see price pull in to like 163.6, 163.8 area and reject, and then dump down to 161.4 is really where I want to enter. So I'm going to put a line. I'm going to put a line right there. Perfectly placed. So this is where I'm looking to buy exactly, but I want to see what price does here. And yeah, I'm just looking to sell right up in this area, because if we can catch 200 pips down and then we buy it, let me get this chart situated real quick. Take a look at the weekly level. Wait, hold on. So if we mark this, or if we look at this high, so if this is going to swing, it's obviously going to break that high. So then the next question is, okay, where's the next resistance at? And that is the high of this candle right here and the high of this candle right here. So that's why I have these two levels marked, and those are going to be the targets. A large amount of the trade will be closed at 170.5, And at that point, there's probably going to be another entry lining up to where we can take and have the target, the full target of essentially 175 hit. So zooming back in, let me go to the 4-hour. Right, so that would look like this. Pretty straightforward. I saw an example earlier that almost matched that completely, and I don't know where it was. I don't even think I'm on the right time frame to show you guys. Let me just look though. Let me just look. Okay, oh yeah, right here, duh. Drained, choppy accumulation, pushed up to the top of the accumulation, stalled, exploded, pulled back into the accumulation, and that's pretty self-explanatory what happened from there. You guys follow that? So, same thing, bigger scale. Drained, choppy accumulation, went sideways at the top of the accumulation. I almost want to drag this down here and enter closer to 161. That just actually makes me feel a little bit better. I'm going to go like this. Okay. That looks better to me. That looks way better. But back to the example. Drained, chopped around, sideways, exploded, comes back down, and self-explanatory, right? Push up. So I do that a lot. Is I will look at what price is doing, analyze it, kind of look at the flow, look at the structure, and then I'll go back in time and just kind of try to find something similar, right? It's never going to be exact. It's never going to be in the same scale. It's never going to look exactly the same, but it's going to be a very similar style of how the market moves. And that's what I'm predicting here is just a pullback into this area, pretty much upper 163s. Obviously, stops are going to be above this high right here. I do not expect it to break that high. If it starts reject, I mean, look at this rejection right. Yeah, I'll just use this. If I zoom in, look at what's happening in here. Wicks is actually right here. See this wick, and then the next candle started dropping, and then it just exploded to grab liquidity. Wicks, dropped. Wicks, right? So it really wants to go down, and it wants to cool and fill some more orders before it takes off, which they played it really smart because this is the start of the new week, so they're going to drop it on the new week to make that nice wick on the weekly time frame, and then it's just going to explode from there. So I just want to see this area hit one more time. Really, I want to see this candle right here. That is why my zone is where it is. So I really want to enter, yeah, mid upper 163s. Might even place a stop loss just above that high just to keep it a little bit shorter. It depends. If price pulls in here and it starts ejecting and does not break this, and I'm not talking about push up here and then come back. I'm talking like if it cannot break above this area, then yeah, stops will be above here. But if it can pop above here and the candle body closes like significantly above here, then we're going to be looking to sell probably in this original area right here. So it depends if it breaks here or not. I really don't think it'll break here because of how just, you know, what we just looked at. It looked like it was going to sell here. Nice wick. Like if I replay this at some point, right, highs, stalled, popped up above that high, right, stopped all those people out, started draining again, immediately shot back up, and then obviously it came up, grabbed a bunch of liquidity. It wanted to drain right here, but it said, wait, not yet, let's do it next week. That's what this candle literally says wait, let's drop it next week. Like it's literally what it says. Um, so yeah, that was pretty much this little situation right here highlighted. Yeah, that's the pound yen, guys. So let's move on to the pound Aussie. This one's a little bit more tricky, and the pound New Zealand dollar is basically the exact same thing. So I'm going to dive into the pound Aussie, and then I'm just going to briefly show the pound New Zealand dollar, because those two pairs are kind of like Bitcoin and Ethereum. They are very, very similar, and if one thing's going to happen to one pair, the pound yen or the pound Aussie, it typically is going to happen on the New Zealand dollar. So yeah, we'll start with the pound Aussie, because that's the one I like to analyze more. Huge bullish pressure, obviously. Massive, massive candle. I don't know why that line's there. Well, I do, but I'm deleting it for now. I think what's going to happen here is, because of this huge pressure, it's very likely that we see this push up, and I'm expecting it to push up into this area, and from here it very, very easily could come all the way even below this low and start hitting these weekly lows over here. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So let's zoom in the 4 hour. We can see we actually had buys on this a few times, including last week. We had a buy down in here with the pound New Zealand dollar. That target was hit. Okay, that buy was right here essentially, and the target was pretty much right where it hit. So that's done with now. I'm expecting price to pull back though, because this is a massive explosion, and it does not have to pull back, but if it does, then this is definitely the area where I'm looking to enter from. So pretty much just under 1.76. Okay, just under 1.76. If we can start rejecting, that's why I had this line up here. See this wick high? That's why the line is there. If price can start stalling out pretty heavily and rejecting, it's possible that we actually short this down into this area and then buy. So it all depends what happens. Kind of like right here, see how this exploded and then we reject, and it did spend some time. Let's say we'll start at this candle right here to this candle. I mean, that's a day and that's almost 2 days it spent accumulating, but ultimately it did drop back down here before it made that continue up, and that's basically what I'm expecting to happen here. I'm not rushing into the sells whatsoever. I'm honestly right now not even fully planning to take it, but if it sets up really well and it looks good and everything is just aligning and it looks like it's going to drop, then I'm definitely going to be entering the sells around, I'm going to say around 1.79. So it's possible that, it's very, very possible that it pushes up above this and then drops. But it's also possible that this thing just kind of goes sideways and then slowly pushes all the way up into this area. And that's fine too. Then we're not going to buy it. We'll just wait and see the reaction here and possibly take a huge sell down into even lower than these lows. So yeah, pound Aussie, nothing really immediate happening. Just kind of watching to see what happens. And kind of like, where's a good example? Kind of like right here. See how price exploded and then it just came all the way back down towards the bottom of where it exploded from. It actually did that twice. And then it exploded, went sideways, right? And it just kept going up and up. Even right here, right? Went sideways for a little bit, exploded, made a high, came back, tested that high, pulled back down into this area, and then so on and so forth. I mean, I could show so many examples of that. on many different pairs, even the other way around. I mean, that's pretty much how all the markets move, but uh, yeah, so we'll see what happens. I mean, this is a huge candle, so very, very, very good chance that we just continue up. And I'm also open to the idea of price kind of consolidating around here. And if that happens, if price just goes completely sideways for like a day or two and it can't break this, then we might be taking a buy up in this area. It really all depends right now. I'm not like set in stone with anything on pound yen yet. I'm just analyzing and kind of giving ideas of what could happen. And yeah, just real briefly, like I said, this is almost exactly the same. So there's not much more to talk about on this pair. This would be the area I would look to buy. And I just marked that high, but it doesn't. I'm just going to delete it. So we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. And that's all I got, guys. A couple pound pairs. Pretty much the pound yen is the main focus. And gold. Pound yen and gold is the main focus with the FX pairs. And it looks like Bitcoin exploded from this level right now. So there's a good chance we just kind of slowly make our way up here. But we could, again, I'm still open to the idea of, excuse me, of price coming back down here around the weekly open. Very open to that idea. But yeah, that's it. Let's have a good week. Start of a new month. Let's have a good month, good year, good quarter. Finish the quarter out strong. We got, what's that? One more month in the quarter, all right? So we'll see you guys next time.